Welcome back, everybody. So today, of course, final day here at Norway Chess, round number 9.
And at the top of the table, it is fabulous Fabiano Caruana with an amazing 16 points out of 24. In second place, Hikaru Nakamura, 13.5. But take a look at all those people in contention for second place. Gukash and Iskiri and Wesley So all have a shot at securing a lot of money. So a lot of action today. Now for days, Hikaru Nakamura against Fabiano Caruana, the podcaster versus the streamer, or two super grandmasters actually.
Yeah, and interestingly, until the last second, there was no eye contact at all, just dodging any kind of any eye contact there. Hikaru, but occasionally looking over at his opponent, you can feel the tension in the air. Hikaru determined to win this one. It is a win or nothing for him. Second place, he won't be happy with. And for Fabiano, a draw will guarantee the title. But of course, with the black pieces, no guarantees.
Well, absolutely. You can feel the tension, don't you? The way Nakamura is sitting right there, and then time to time he looks back with his eye. He's going to give all in. He's not going to be ready for compromises, and whenever it's possible, he's going to go for a risky play. Or maybe he's not going to play risky at all. And so far in this opening, as we've seen, it was not so successful so far in this tournament, right? So after, we can't say that e4 is a mistake these days, but according to the stats, we could.
Yeah, absolutely. And knight f3, we predict that Fabi will also develop his knight to knight c6. And now Hikaru looking up to the ceiling. Is he going to develop his bishop to b5, bishop c4? It's an Italian.
It's an Italian. Good news for Hikaru is that it will lead to a very tense game. He has a lot of experience here, mostly from the black side. The bad news is that nobody has won with white in the Italian, in the classical, this tournament either. And wow, going for, in the two knights variation, he's going for the fried liver attack. He's hitting the f7 pawn. This is, at least it was popular in my youth, Jovanka, Judith. Is this a surprise to you? Not many top players employ this knight g5 move these days.
It was actually recommended by Wesley So in his Chessable course, and I tried my hand at it a few times online, and it was too much greed for lack of development. Okay, we see pawn takes pawn, and you won't hear me often say those words. Sometimes it's good to suffer for that extra material.
Well, is Nakamura going to be testing Fabi's memory, or does he have something special prepared, cooked for today?
Yeah, this position does lead to a pawn sacrifice. This move confirms it. Fabiano wasn't able to recapture a pawn in the center earlier. There were some really nice tactics, really nice tricks there for white. Instead, he's gaining time against the white bishop. White is a pawn up, but will have to lose a lot of tempi now, retreating white's light square bishop, retreating white's knight from g5.
So we're going to see what happens in my game today. So obviously it's different from my game against Friedel, but thus far at least I feel pretty good. I have a feeling we're probably going to blitz out another 10 plus moves, which is why I don't mind standing here and wasting 5 to 10 minutes of my time, since I assume Fabiano will probably move pretty quickly, but we will see. I'll be back later.
Fabiano, I don't think we could have scripted a better ending right now. It's all on the line. You have to maintain a draw with black pieces. How do you view the game today?
Yeah, I feel good about the situation, but it'll be very tough, I'm sure. And it's one of those classic scenarios, you know. We both have it all on the line now.
Is this the kind of situations and the kind of last rounds that you dream about as a chess player, in the kind of the way a tournament should be ended?
Oh, it's let's say the stress isn't ideal, but it's for the spectators, it's very good.
Do you feel that kind of stress when you're sitting at the actual game?
More before. Once the game starts, it usually feels like you worry about the stuff that could happen before the game, and then once you're in it, then you kind of get in the mode of more playing and less worrying.
We look forward to that mode, and good luck.
Thank you.
My game with Fabiano, of course, I'm waiting to see which one he plays here. They're I've looked at, I think, 4 different moves in this position. I'm not sure which one he's going to play at the end of the day. There are some move order tricks, because there's some lines where black plays c5 and white goes knight e4. There are other lines where c5 you go bishop a3. So there's some little move order nuances depending on what Fabiano chooses to do. He's using a lot of time, and I think he's going to continue to use time here because the move orders are very critical, since at the moment I am currently up a pawn. If I can get rid of this double pawn, potentially I can claim an advantage down the road. So it's a sort of very critical moment in the game right now. I think Fabiano likely will use 20 minutes or more on this move just to make sure of his move orders. The good thing is he's thinking, which means he has not looked at this. From the general standpoint, when you're in a final round game where you desperately need to win to try and win the tournament or qualify or whatever it might be, if you're able to surprise your opponent, that's the best possible start that you can get. And so I've gotten that thus far, which of course bodes very well is way too optimistic, but definitely the best that I could have expected thus far, considering how solid of a player Fabiano is. And we'll just have to wait and see what happens from here on out. But as I said, I think he's going to use a lot of time. Maybe he already moved. Maybe I'm just standing here for forever and just losing time on the clock. But again, so far at least it's all preparation, and I feel pretty good.
Fabiano has made a mistake, and a quite significant one. We see on the camera Hikaru frowning. For the first time in this game, he's out of preparation, but normally that means alarm bells going through the head. The reason this move was not in Hikaru's preparation is because it wasn't one of the top computer suggestions. And I'm sure Chris Littlejohn fed Hikaru some nice ideas here, but I think Hikaru doesn't need nice ideas. He just has a very simple move. He's about to go 2 pawns up. Judith, what is Fabi doing? Just lashing out now with the move f5.
And the question is whether after knight takes c5, black wants to go queen a5. That seems to be the most logical continuation, and I have to figure out also what's going on. But maybe white can go knight a4, leaving the bishop behind on a3, because then rook c6.
Yeah.
This is one of the idea.
Maybe we can jump in to show this. We should mention question mark attached to black's last move, meaning a mistake. But meanwhile, okay, knight takes pawn on c5. It's on the board, Ivanka.
It is on the board.
And we're going to have a confessional from Nakamura, what he thinks about knight c5.
Yeah.
And Fabiano is going into the tank.
Welcome back, chat.
Yeah, somehow or other, I've got like Monty Python in my head, Life of Brian. It's a miracle. It's happened. I mean, Fabi's made a mistake. But Fabi's so good, so it just must have been overexcitement.
Yeah, Fabi's the one that needs a miracle now.
Magnus was just in here, and that kind of made me want to come back. And I mean, as Fabiano is using more and more time, I'm becoming more and more optimistic about my position. I think the main reason I'm so optimistic is because in this position, since I'm up 2 pawns, Fabiano basically has to have counterplay right away. If he doesn't have counterplay right away, and I can say play b4, b5, and undermine the central pawn on e5, his position is going to fall apart almost instantly. And so in this situation, it's really, really good, because from the general standpoint of being in a must-win game, Fabiano doesn't have any easy moves, and if he has something really good, I'm sure he'll find it. But realistically, if he doesn't find it, all my moves are going to be extremely easy to play, I think. So I'm actually feeling more and more optimistic, and the longer Fabiano thinks, the more confident I become. Now, of course, who knows what the objective valuation is, but the fact that Fabiano played f5 and now he's deep in the tank, I'm not sure what the difference is, but I know there's some positions where you're not supposed to play knight e4 after c5, because after bishop f8, bishop a3, there is f5. But I think because of this rook c1 move being here, it's completely different than the line that Fabiano is trying to transpose to. And I think Fabiano probably actually realizes this, which is why he's thinking so long here. So the longer Fabiano thinks, the more confident I become, and I'm feeling really, really good about this game right now. Now, of course, maybe I'm being too optimistic. Of course, I'm sure he has some resource, and Fabiano is an extremely good calculator. But the longer he thinks, the closer we get towards an eventual time scramble, I become very optimistic. So I'm very pleased with everything I've gotten, and I could not have asked for more so far, and we'll see what happens.
Eventually, queen d5 was the product of that deep think. And Julie, you mentioned it was one of the only moves to keep black in the game. And meanwhile, we have a move. Rook to d8 on the board. What do we think of this?
Absolutely, rook d8 is on the board. So black wants to put pressure on the d3 pawn by any means. I'm thinking, what about queen c3 now? Because I want to put pressure on the e5 pawn.
2 pawns up for white, and it looks like he has solved one of the issues here. Judy, Ivanka, this white bishop, much better placed than it was earlier.
Well, actually, Black's position, I believe it's getting better and better. The only problem is some most pawns are missing. Because in the last move, bishop d6 was played, knight to e7, so everything is stabilized. But, yeah, one more pawn would be helpful on b7, let's say. And then there would be full compensation for Black, I believe. So Black does not want to give up the black square bishop. He wants to keep it because he knows it that if he gives up, maybe he has some drawing chances, but there is very little chance that he will be able to hold it.
Welcome back, everybody. So I just spent a lot of time on this last move in my current game. I was thinking for a very, very long time about playing this move, knight to e6. It felt like the right move, but then I started to look at it more. I saw a lot of complications with lines like knight to e6, bishop takes a3, knight c7, and then rook d7, knight e8, bishop b7, and rook c6, bishop b7 as well. And once I saw these really long, complicated lines, I just sort of started looking at this move, rook e1 instead, because on top of keeping all the pieces on the board, Black still doesn't have an obvious idea, and I remain up 2 pawns here, so I don't know if rook e1 was best or if knight e6, I mean, I think knight e6 might have been winning on the spot, but again, like, I don't really want a lot of complications if I can avoid. Now, Magnus said something about this the other day about like trying to win the games without allowing counterplay. And if you can, you want to avoid it, but it's not always you can't always guarantee to yourself that you will avoid it. But at any rate, I mean, I saw rook e1, rook b8, and then bishop b2, and with knight b4, I spent a lot of time looking at this knight b4 a3 line. I think that I'm just better there. Again, I mean, the good thing about the position is basically Fabiano has to use time. He has to find some concept here, and I'm not sure they really exist in this position. And if they don't exist, he's just going to lose the game. So I still feel pretty good about it, but that's why I used so much time on this last move. So I just want to make sure, because if I go knight e6 and I'm wrong, I could end up in trouble. Whereas with rook c1, rook b8, bishop b2, maybe there's some way for Fabiano to keep the game going in an unpleasant endgame. But in no world should he ever have chances to maybe trick me or swindle me. So I'm still pretty happy with everything, and I still have a good time advantage, so it's all I feel pretty good about where things are right now, and obviously for me it's the only thing that matters is my game, so we'll see how it goes. But so far it's looking good, so I'll be back later.
Its d-pawn was weak, so after d4 it was traded, the white knight recaptured, and after the move a5, Hikaru simply stepped back, out of the way.
He thinks he has another pawn, so he's going to play d4 and knight e5.
You don't succeed the first time, try again. He's got a backup.
Well, isn't this his plan?
Yeah, after h6 is his move, we'll find out. d4, plant a knight on an outpost in the center. He's fighting like a lion, Fabiano. We've got to praise him for that. He's fought so well since his slip out there in the opening, and Hikaru now is getting slightly nervous, you can tell, a bit tense, very straight backed there, less relaxed than he was earlier. Suddenly the black bishop is in, suddenly some hints at a counterattack against the white king.
Yeah, the big question is, of course, whether can White continue his plan, and after knight c4 he just wanted to grab the pawn on a5. Can he do that? Because that would be something... He does not take on a5. He's more scared what's going to happen with his king, possibly. He wants to activate his king and play king h2 so that a5 pawn can wait. I can take it later.
White's knight is just going to be the glue that holds everything together, and from that, White's rook will be released, White's pawns will come forward, and yeah, if necessary, one of the white knights can block this black bishop's diagonal later on. Yeah, it feels forlorn now for Fabiano, but he's got to play knight e1. That's the only active move. You feel the tension in the air.
Totally, and you really feel for Fabiano. I mean, I've said it time and time again, the knight does retreat, but Fabiano has played an exceptional tournament, and it all collapsed on the count of one blunder. And that's it.
Yeah, small margins at this top level, and that's all it takes sometimes. The killer instinct, the technique of these top players is, yeah, just first class. Bringing the pieces slowly but surely towards Black's half of the board. The D pawn's going to start running, White's extra pawns are going to count, and look at Fabiano. He's devastated, staring away, shaking his head. Now the white D pawn comes. One of these moves is going to tip Black over the edge. We'll see a handshake any second now. The winner of Norway Chess will be Hikaru Nakamura, and there we go. It's confirmed.
And there we can see the final standing. And Hikaru Nakamura, with 16.5 points out of 27, wins 750,000 krona, which translates to $75,000. Sneaking past Fabiano Caruana, who finishes in second place with 16 points out of 27. And 17-year-old Gukash had the tournament of his life as he finished in third place with 14.5 points out of 27. And Nishikiri and Wesley So in fourth and fifth. And what an incredible 9 days it's been.